The Brazil weekend was probably the most brutal that I can remember across my entire career. In the space of 7 days, a little bit more than that, we had 5 major accidents. In Brazil alone, between qualifying and the race, 3. That's an amount that near enough no one can sustain on the grid. And it hurts as a result of it. This team's going through the process of rebuilding itself into a state where it can win races in the future. That doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen without significant change throughout the organization. And this one race is simply just a blip in what is a grand scheme of multi-year program. That doesn't mean it hurts any less. It doesn't. It hurts tremendously as I'm talking to you now. I want us to be successful and performant. But I came here not to be fighting for the odd point, but rather fighting for wins and more in the future. And that can't be achieved without some level of compromise along the way, without rebuilding an organization along the way. So yes, it's painful what happened last weekend, but it hasn't changed what our destination is, not whatsoever at all. In fact, it's rooted me even further more into the fact of what we have to do to achieve it is significant, but we can achieve it together as a team. I'm here with Williams to be winning races in the future, and we're a long way off that. I think it's worth congratulating Alpine on a fantastic performance. Not a foot wrong all weekend and brilliant drives from both of their drivers, and they deserved that double podium. It's shaken up the championship order, no doubt about it, but I'd also go on to say that we have 3 races remaining, and what Brazil showed you more than anything else is anything can happen across a race weekend. And we'll be there until the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi, making sure we do everything we can to deliver the performance of the car. Welcome to the Vowles Verdict, presented by Kraken. I think it's a really good point that Franco has been incredible and instrumental in helping us do the best results for the team so far. A strategy decision, though, isn't made by any one individual, be that Franco or the team. It's making sure that we have scientific backing and reasoning behind it at the same time. It's not throwing the dice, but rather you're looking at what will work best for everyone. And starting the hard when you're offset on position is a good strategy to be doing. It helps the team understand a lot more about how the tyres are, and helps the driver get himself into a different position to where they were before. In terms of this race, we're in a situation where there's a safety car, exactly as discussed here. And all of the real leading cars, and that includes both Alpines, are out there, not just on intermediate tyres, but very worn intermediate tyres at that point in the race. The conditions as they were when we made that stop were probably the most difficult that they were going to be. And from then onwards, as you saw, it would dry up, which means, and I hate to use this word, it's survival. It's about being able to survive behind the safety car for a number of laps. And in about 2-3 laps time, absolutely the Inter will go on to be better. There's a point well made that both Tsunoda and Lawson were on the expert tyres and were able to score points. All true. But it's also fair to say that Alpine, for example, but also the remainder of the cars were on intermediate tyres still circulating in those conditions. It's treacherous and it's tricky, but it's possible. And in that circumstance, you're trying to make the call that's not correct for now. Expert would have been the right call for those 5 minutes, but rather the call that would enable a car that's out of position, because we were, to make headway up against other cars in front of it that could have been on the expert tyres. So answering your question, it's not about ignoring the driver. That is a fundamental in what you're doing when you make decision making, but it's about looking at the whole picture going forward. For Franco at the time, he's giving us the right information. He's doing everything in his power to say, right now it's expert. We agree with him. But in 3 minutes time, it will transition to Inters, and it's about finding that compromise between the two. In answer to your question about uplifting the team, it's straightforward. I came here to win races with Williams. I came here to watch Williams, a championship team that is the second most successful team in the sport, come back to the front. So a weekend like this is a blip. It's part of a journey, but it is not our destination. And I've said all along that 23, 24, 25, they don't have the material impact on us as a team. 26, 27, 28 do. It's a long way away. But it's investment in the future, and it's making sure we're doing the right things for the continued success of the team rather than one race weekend. So in no time has our destination changed. I still know where we're going, and we know how we're going to achieve that and get there. So as painful as this weekend is, that reminder towards where we're going brings everyone to a level where they understand why it's just a part of our journey. I'd also say that the pain and frustration, use it positively. Because as frustrating as it is, you want to look back on this in the future and remember it as just a part of what we had to go through to be successful. Short answer, there's no team on the grid that can cope with 5 major accidents in 2 race weekends. Simply the amount of spares we carry are not sufficient to carry that amount of attrition. Vegas, I have high hopes for. We were fast there last year, and I'm confident we have a car that can work well in those conditions. So we're going to do our absolute utmost to get 2 cars to the best specification they can be, with sufficient spares around us to make that happen. What that looks like, it's difficult to predict at the moment. We're still getting the items back from Brazil and determining what we have to do in terms of construct, build, in order to get ourselves to the best place possible. Short answer, no. In order to change, for it to be Alex driving, we would have to change the engine and gearbox and more fundamentals of the car. By the time you've done that, you're starting from the pit lane, and even then we wouldn't have made it in time to start the race. Here, it was about assessing both cars' damage and what we can repair on both cars. We ascertained that Franco's car was repairable, his damage was less, so we'll keep him in position. In the case of Alex's car, it was just too big a job to turn around in that period of time. In regards to us qualifying and racing on Sunday with a very short gap between the two, Formula One made a brave call, but I think a good call for the sake of the sport, in order for the show to continue and for us to have both sessions fitting into a day. There's huge logistical nightmares, and one of them was this: if we have an accident, we are in a difficult state. But the reality behind it is that the sport is bigger than any one team, and those risks are there, and we're aware they're there. For me, what the sport did was correct. What we have to be doing is ensuring that we have a car on the grid in those positions and without accident. Easier said than done. That's our responsibility rather than the sport's.